All right, Mr. Braun coming to you from Braun Family Headquarters, and we're gonna start today looking at problem 6. So, a little lazy today, I didn't put up the green screen, but that's all right. Problem 6 in Vex is going to be making your initials on the grid map. So, if I go over to Vex, I've actually done this already. And if you didn't know, you can save these files if you so desire. So I actually have it, and I will run it quickly for you. So if you look, I have my drawing right here of my initials, and it's going to run through this as quickly as I can have it do so. And you're going to have to figure this out. Now, I do have some tips for you on how I would do this. And after I get through those tips, perhaps you'll do this. But, you know, not to be discouraging, this is the longest problem we're going to do so far. And, like, I actually didn't have power today when I started this. So I did it on paper. And this is how many lines of code I had to draw on the piece of paper. So, you know, I do have some tips on how to do this. So, first, I'm going to start a new program. So I'm just going to go here and hopefully this will erase. Yes. And I'm going to give you my first tip. My first tip is I actually brought up the map. And I kind of looked at it, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's a 10 by 10 grid. And, you know, I kind of, on the graph paper I just took a pen. And I kind of, you know, sketched out my initials very roughly. Now, this is, of course, extremely rough, but it is giving me an idea of what I want to do. And for the most part, none of this is very difficult. The only difficult thing I have here is these 45-degree angle lines, and how I figured out what that was. And you know, if you're gonna do lines like that only go one, you're not really in a bad way, because that's very easy to figure out. If you're doing a long one, it's gonna be more difficult, and you have to go back to the triangle lesson where you would basically draw a triangle. Like if I had to, like if I was doing a V, I'm gonna clear this quickly. So like if I was doing a V, so we'll say like my initials were DV instead of DB. V, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a V, and I'm gonna try to center it here and go up over 2 on each side, and like this. When I'd sketch this out, I would have to figure out what the triangle is here. Like I'd have to make an imaginary triangle. So like imagine the pink line is my imaginary triangle, and we got like a 90-degree angle here. So we got 90 there, and then we have 1, 2, 400 millimeters here, and you know we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 600 millimeters here. So we have all the information, and then we can go back to the triangle calculator. So we can go to the triangle calculator again, and we could put in that information like, you know, we have a 90-degree side, and then we have a 600 side on the one side of it, and we have a 400 side on the other side of it, and I can calculate what this triangle would look like. So this side right here would be this many degrees, and you'd have that angle right there. And this one. So this one's much harder to calculate and do, but it's still possible using it. So like you'd get to this point, and if the robot was like coming here, let's do this in blue. So if I was to go here, here, I don't have to draw this, I just have to draw this line. So this line right here, like let's say my robot's coming on a path, and the robot gets right there. So the robot has to turn from here to here, and we know that this angle, because we have it here, this is the angle right here, we know this angle that we're turning at on the inside is going to be complementary to that angle. So we got a 56.31 should take us down here this many degrees. And then basically you got to figure out what this flip is, doing it on the same method. So this is much more difficult, but it is doable with some calculation. So that's just to show you, if you have a V, you've got a little more work in store. But the basics are as follows. I'll do my first letter and kind of let you guys roll through this. So the first thing I did was under drive velocity. I just increased my drive velocity to make this go faster. And then using some lines of code here, the first thing I'm going to do is I want to go to my starting point. So I go 300, and then I'm going to turn right 90 degrees, and then I'm going to go forward 100, and then I'm going to turn left, and then I'm going to turn left 90 degrees. And all this is doing is just getting me to where I wanted to start, which was over here. Okay, and remember as I drew out my pattern. So once I'm there, I can actually start doing the code, and then each of these boxes is just 200. So I'm going to drop my pen down now. I'll do it, I just feel like doing it a different color because I've done it in black already, so I'll do it in red now. Now I'm going to drive forward, and I am going to drive forward 1200, I believe. Just looking at my paper. Yep, 1200, and then I'm going to turn right, and I'm going to go forward for 400, and then I'm going to turn right at 45 degrees. And if you just have to go over one box 45 degrees, the answer to that is 282.9, because I already did the calculation, so you don't have to. And then I'm going to turn right again 45 degrees. I'm going to drive forward for 400. Is that right? Nope. I'm going to drive forward for 800. There we go. Lost my spot. And then I can actually, if I want to save myself some time and be a little bit lazy here, I can pull this out and duplicate it. Drop that on there. And then I can drive forward for 400. And let's see what that does. So we're going to go out, start drawing now. Go over. There's the 45. There's the 45. And done. And I'm back to the beginning. And at this point, before I went to my next letter, I would have to raise my pen up because I don't want the pen down anymore. And I would continue. And like I said, this is a long program. And when I did this, I turned my robot around. So I rotated 180. You don't have to do it this way. You could do it in reverse, just how I chose to do it. And then I drove forward, 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. So 400, 800. And then I would put my pen down and start on the next one. However, I may want to do that. And I actually brought my robot back to the starting position. You wouldn't have to do that, but you could. So this is far and away the most complicated problem. And what I might actually tell you guys is when you finish it, maybe do one letter at a time. So like I might take this now and go File, Save, and it'll save it to my drive or my wherever your files do save to. So there's my file showing folder. And I might rename this when it's in the folder like problem 6. And then if I closed out of Vex VR and went back, I could always go file, load from device, and I could load problem 6 and it would be right there. So this one maybe break up over 2 days and do over 2 days. Like I said, it is a long program. I think mine was over 50 lines. And you do have to do some math. Like I said, it is difficult if you have to do like a K or a V, just because there are more things to figure out. But like I said, one good tip is to maybe just take the grid out on graph paper and draw this 10 by 10 grid and just try to figure it out. Like if you had to do a Y, try to figure out what would make a good Y. Is this a good Y? Maybe. And then you got to figure out that angle. So like I'd have to figure out, you know, these triangles, like what angles am I using here? You know, this one's a 90. I can go use the calculator on Google to figure out the rest. But it is getting more difficult now. You're having to put more things together. So if you guys have any questions, please come to office hours. I'll be more than happy to try to help you work through these things. All right, good luck.